Christina Bakalega has argued that the reason fairy tales are perpetuated in our culture and the reason that they have such a deep and lasting impact on us long after we think we have put childish things behind us is because they produce a sense of wonder. Wonder is not just a happily ever after ending. It's curiosity, it's questions, it's something that engages you and drags you deeper and deeper into something. It can happen in fiction, it can happen in nonfiction just as readily. I remember someone told me once that they first experienced a sense of wonder when their father gave them a book about the stars, and they read that and suddenly realized the universe was bigger than they had ever imagined. And that sense of wonder drove them into an academic study of the universe and physics because of a book about how stars work. So, following that line of thought, we are going to think about how wonder is produced with illustrations. How are these illustrations something that draw the child reader in? Encourage them to question and think, maybe imagine themselves in place of that protagonist. That is, it calls to them and makes the text a live experience for them, rather than just a narrative that they are receiving. And the first place we're going to be looking at this is Caldecott winning book of Journey. So, most of the books that we're looking at are either award-winning books or authors of award-winning books, maybe later books that they have written. And part of this is to see what are the American Library Association, Children's Literature Association, and other major academic field saying really matters in literature. It's not saying that these are the books that are most engaging for children. So we may be looking at an example like this in class, but in your browsing projects and in the projects that you're doing, you can look at a large range of books and you can hopefully engage with young people and see what do they actually like to read. And apply the same things we're looking at in books like Journey to books that you see other kids reading. So, wonder, I think, embraces the idea of high interest content for a reader. Because in order to engage a reader and get them to imaginatively continue a narrative and insert themselves into that narrative, they first of all need to be interested in that narrative. So, how is Aaron Becker, creating a sense of wonder or engaging the kid reader through images? Here you can watch the book on YouTube, which is how you're going to be viewing a lot of the books we're looking at simply because it's cost effective. The price of obtaining all of the books that we would have been looking at today would have been almost the price of your textbook. Doing that for every week this semester would make this class totally cost prohibitive. So we're doing the next best thing, which is YouTube. Free YouTube. So look at how this portrays Aaron Beckett. And this story begins with, also, if you would like to see this, I have copies in my office. There are copies, I'm sure, in your local libraries, because I personally prefer a paper book. The book begins with very drab illustrations. We see the unnamed child protagonist, because this is a wordless book, in a drab world where no one is willing to play with her. She finds a red, I don't know if that's a crayon or a piece of chalk, let's say chalk because we have a chalk day, and she enters into what we see up here in the illustration, nope, that side, sorry, to an imaginary world through the door that she draws. Notice the difference between the lush watercolor painting of this imaginary world and the sort of cartoon, very simplistic character that's entering into it. How does this image engage us as readers? I look at this and want to hang it on my wall. Why? Because I would like to be her. I would like to enter into that secret world and see something that's so magnificent. And a door through a tree has been, quite honestly, something I've always thought would be really cool. Who has ever, when they were little, like crawled into a hollowed out tree trunk and thought how cool it would be if that was some sort of special gateway or your own secret place? I had that as a kid, and so my personal experience, which is something chapter 2 talks about, what is the experience of the child reader, how are those experiences shaping their reading, is leading me as a reader to look at this and think, wow, that's out of my own imagination, and then sort of continue on this imaginative journey. So, the other thing that's creating a sense of wonder is the light and the difference between the detail of the imagined world and the simplicity of the real world that the children inhabit. That difference is implicitly giving greater value to a child's imaginative world. That's a big thing for a kid. Kids aren't frequently told that their imagination or the imaginary places that they go in their dreams is a really good thing. You're trying to teach them, content and facts and get them to get certain scores on our tests. This says that what a child is doing in their own mind is not only valuable, but is more valuable than perhaps the external realities around them. That's really affirming. It's another way that's creating wonder because of the message that it is sending to the child reader. So, what did watching or viewing a reading of Journey, that is a series of images without words, do for you? How did you feel when you saw those images? Did you feel emotion? Did they draw you in? Why? How? Thinking about that and being able to articulate what your experience with the text and what a potential child's experience with the text, might mean is the first step to being able to bring this text into the world of the child reader.